Breaking news this evening that you absolutely need to know about immediately. The White House has just verified that President Trump has formally endorsed the $2,000 tariff refund payments, and a stunning development unfolded in the past few hours. Low-income, elderly individuals have been incorporated into a newly created qualification roster that wasn't around just days ago. This revision is legitimate, it's recent, and the majority of folks aren't even aware it occurred. If you're on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, pay close attention because this adjustment impacts you directly. For several days, this buzz has been circulating through media reports, TikTok, financial discussions, and local forums, but this evening, the official validation arrived. Trump authorized the modified framework for the tariff refund disbursements, and the Treasury discreetly issued a fresh internal directive that elevates a particular segment of seniors to preferred standing. The schedule for this couldn't be more unexpected. No one anticipated the revision to activate this evening, and the phrasing in the paperwork indicates it was expedited following an abrupt assessment of households with limited earnings. Here's the implication for you. Up until now, the $2,000 refund targeted middle-earning households, employees, and those immediately affected by escalating tariffs on foreign products. Elderly folks were referenced, but they weren't formally designated as key beneficiaries. That shifted this evening. For the initial time, low-income elderly have been positioned on a fresh roster, granting them expedited entry to the disbursement lineup. This signifies that if you're surviving on a set budget, depending on Social Security payments, or finding it tough to meet regular costs, your profile might now fit under this revised category. Trump mentioned today that the refund payments aim to assist Americans most burdened by increasing costs. But what surprised everyone was the abrupt pivot toward the elderly. In particular, the refreshed wording from the Treasury notes that families with restricted or fixed earnings shouldn't be overlooked. That single line is what sparked this evening's alteration, and it's why your position could differ from what it was just yesterday. But here's the crucial element. If you're an elderly person with income below a specific limit, particularly if Social Security, SSI, or SSDI is your sole source, your qualification rating has surged notably. This isn't guesswork. This isn't hearsay. This is a verified revision already under examination by various departments. Shortly, I'll detail what was altered, the reasons behind it, and precisely how this might propel thousands of elderly into the upcoming batch of approvals. But prior to that, grasp this. This evening's revision exceeds a mere payout reveal. It signals the initial substantial adjustment in the targeting of the tariff dividend initiative, and the elderly have transitioned from the rear of the queue to nearer the forefront. Now, the inquiry is, why did this emerge so abruptly? What prompted the internal evaluation? And what does the updated priority roster truly entail? The background to this rapid decision uncovers far more than what's appearing on television currently, and that's precisely what we'll explore, because the actual cause for this evening's revision goes beyond a basic payout declaration. In the past couple of weeks, Trump has been tweaking the setup of the tariff refund program privately. Most folks only caught the headline announcing $2,000 checks as confirmed, but they missed the mounting tension below the surface. Truthfully, this initiative wasn't initially meant to encompass the elderly in the beginning phases. That evolved only after multiple economic analyses reached Trump's office, highlighting the severe toll inflation has taken on older citizens. The pivotal moment arrived when fresh insights from economic consultants revealed a steep increase in poverty rates among the elderly, particularly those getting under $1,300 monthly from Social Security. That information was delivered directly to the president. From then on, the tone for the tariff refunds changed. One consultant noted the president's worry was straightforward. If the government is redistributing tariff funds to citizens, those with minimal purchasing capacity shouldn't be at the end. That's what expedited this into a priority assessment. There's another aspect to consider. The tariff refund initiative is financed unlike previous stimulus disbursements. This effort draws from tariff revenues, so the money stems from duties on imported items. Trump's position has remained consistent from the outset. If those duties generate billions, the funds should return to U.S. families, not sit idle. And the revised plan features a new instruction for the Treasury: identify groups with constrained income, reduced mobility, and stable benefits, and advance them to priority assessment. That's precisely why the elderly segment was reconsidered. The Treasury didn't merely compile a list, they developed a rating mechanism. It evaluates income bracket, dependence on public programs, buying capacity, and consistency of monthly aid. Elderly depending heavily on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI rank highly in this mechanism, which explains why this evening's internal revision elevated them. It wasn't driven by politics, it wasn't impromptu kindness, it was a rating revamp based on facts. But what accelerated the pace? Why did this occur so abruptly, almost under the radar, without a major media event? According to sources cited earlier today from within, the White House aimed to avoid leaks until the revision was locked in. They sought to finalize the documents, approve the qualification groups, and align with the Treasury before any public reveal. That's why this evening seems like a shock. This revision has been developing for days, but the ultimate sign-off just happened. Now, let's discuss the operations, as this is where confusion arises. When Trump issued his statement verifying the $2,000 refund checks, he omitted that the Treasury was concurrently setting up a dual-path disbursement system, one path for middle-earning families and workers, and another for low-earning persons, including the elderly. The new elderly priority roster ties into the second path. That setup is built to proceed quicker since the confirmation procedures are more straightforward. Most elderly already have their earnings records and benefit details in SSA and IRS databases, allowing automatic validation of eligibility. And there's another point to highlight. A subtle addition in the Treasury note refers to a swift confirmation pathway. This targets those whose main earnings come from Social Security or SSI. In simple terms, if your earnings are already recorded in federal aid systems, you might not have to submit new documents. That's why this evening's revision holds so much weight. It doesn't simply include the elderly on the roster, it streamlines their approval. But here's the reality. Most folks aren't aware yet. The priority roster isn't merely a cluster, it's a level-based system, and the elderly didn't just enter the initiative, they were advanced to one of the top levels. What does that mean? It means certain elderly might get their clearance ahead of millions of working households entering the assessment line. And yes, that could encompass you. The Treasury didn't merely include the elderly. They restructured the whole disbursement framework into 3 levels, and low-income elderly were advanced to one of the premier categories. This marks the initial time since the reveal that we're seeing a dissection of who qualifies and why some will get their funds before others. The updated roster begins with Level 1, where the biggest shift took place. Level 1 was initially intended for middle-earning workers making $30,000 to $75,000 annually, but with the revised rating system, a new segment has been integrated: elderly receiving below a set amount from Social Security monthly. If your annual earnings fall below about $30,000, or if your monthly Social Security is below the national average, your qualification rating leaps considerably. That puts elderly relying on fixed aid with early recipients, not the delayed ones. But qualification extends beyond earnings now. The Treasury note introduced a benefit consistency element. It examines the predictability of your earnings and your vulnerability to cost hikes. Elderly on fixed disbursements rank highest here because their aid stays constant amid rising rent, groceries, fuel, and bills. Consequently, the system automatically ranks them above many working households with variable incomes. You should also learn about Level 2, as many fit there. Level 2 includes people earning $40,000 to $90,000 annually, encompassing various working families. Initially, Level 2 was slated for first-wave disbursements, but the recent revision alters that schedule because elevating low-income elderly might delay part of Level 2 to a subsequent rollout. This explains the online confusion about actual receipt timing. The system is recalibrating through the new priority rating. Then comes Level 3, allocated for higher-earning households or cases needing extra confirmation. These require additional IRS scrutiny, recent submissions, or hands-on tweaks. Elderly aren't in this level. They're in Level 1 or Level 2 based on earnings. That demonstrates the importance of this revision. The Treasury didn't just add the elderly, they promoted them. Let's get into details as folks seek concrete figures. Per the internal rating, those with annual earnings under $30,000 have the best shot at prompt clearance. If you receive SSI, SSDI, or survivor aid, you're instantly marked for accelerated assessment. If your monthly Social Security is below $1,300, you could be deemed high priority under the new elderly tweak. And here's what surprised everyone. Elderly who submitted no income tax filings in the past 2 years will now process automatically sans extra forms. Previously, no income filings caused holdups, but the Treasury now leverages SSA info to skip those hurdles. Another unexpected guideline in the revised note covers those depending exclusively on federal aid without extra earnings. These families are now labeled direct impact recipients. What that implies is straightforward. If your livelihood comes solely from Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, your confirmation is swifter than most because your data resides in federal systems. No job histories, no side income verifications, no intricate applications. The system can affirm your qualification instantly. Now let's tackle a frequent query. Must you apply for the $2,000 refund? The refreshed phrasing clarifies this. Most elderly won't need extra submissions. Qualification checks will occur automatically via SSA and IRS data. Only those with obsolete records or gaps might get a verification prompt, but for most elderly, it'll be seamless and managed internally. Disbursement schedule is the next major concern. Level 1 should advance first, and since low-income elderly have shifted there, many approvals will conclude sooner than first estimated. Treasury staff are outlining rollout batches by final checks, and initial indicators suggest elderly could view their status refresh before many working households start assessment. But this isn't the largest surprise. There's an additional segment no one foresaw including, and this alters the full elderly category setup. This segment wasn't in the initial blueprint. It wasn't in early whispers. It wasn't noted in Trump's reveal, yet it was quietly appended in the revised internal note. Within the updated Treasury note, a concluding category was inserted mere hours before the reveal: fixed income elderly getting under $1,100 monthly. This segment wasn't in Trump's open remarks. It wasn't in program drafts initially, but post-review of fresh economic stats, the Treasury integrated this into the identical priority path as low-income elderly. That means elderly at the lowest earnings tier, those hardest hit by price surges, might get clearances even quicker than anticipated. Why include this segment? The logic is clear. Elderly subsisting on under $1,100 monthly are viewed as high-impact recipients. Their earnings are minimal and managing expenses is challenging, so minor price rises can drastically affect their well-being. When updated inflation stats arrived, this segment was highlighted as most economically fragile. Once that analysis hit the White House, the call was made to advance them to the top level without hesitation. Now, let's cover next steps, as this confuses many. If you're in the elderly group or on SSI, SSDI, or survivor aid, your standing isn't linked to fresh laws. You don't require Congress to enact a distinct measure for this refund. The tariff refund disbursements differ from stimulus packages. This draws from tariff income, enabling Treasury to release once the qualification setup is set. And as of this evening, that setup is done. But temper excitement as processing remains. Treasury needs to lock the routing roster, IRS must authenticate identities, and SSA must verify benefit accounts for direct transfers. These don't alter qualification, but influence timing. Delays could arise if records are dated, mismatched, or lack essentials. Yet, the new level system favors elderly since your info is in federal databases. That's why the note terms this group Fast Verify families. Let's outline a potential schedule. After Treasury finishes its check, IRS will feed confirmations into the payout system. Elderly and top levels might see updates before millions of workers begin review. Early estimates indicate elderly could be first for approval notices, then middle income, followed by higher brackets. While precise dates are finalizing, one fact stands: elderly are no longer trailing. Now, here's what demands your focus. In coming days and weeks, you might spot notifications in your IRS or SSA account. These could involve identity verifications, address refreshes, or payout method confirmations. Don't disregard these alerts. They're part of confirmation to ensure funds hit the right spot. If you get a prompt to verify details, handle it promptly. It'll avoid slowdowns and maintain your priority. Some are concerned this refund might influence Social Security aid. It won't. This disbursement isn't counted as earnings for benefit calculations and won't cut your Social Security, SSI, or SSDI amounts. The initiative's goal is to alleviate strain on families hardest hit by cost rises, not to supplant or diminish current income. Now, let's handle another worry many share. What if Congress resists? What if partisan disputes hinder progress? The response is direct. This refund initiative doesn't need fresh congressional sanction. It's permitted under current tariff laws and managed via Treasury. Debates might persist, but the refund mechanics are advancing. Your qualification relies on your earnings info, not a new law. So, what actions should elderly take now? First, confirm your SSA and IRS details are accurate. Address, direct deposit, and tax history updated. Second, monitor your accounts often. Any notice could matter. Third, keep updated. Upcoming reveals might cover payout periods, handling dates, or confirmation schedules. Don't skip those. And lastly, to every elderly viewer, I understand recent years have been tough. Costs rose, budgets tightened, and countless elderly pondered how to cope on unchanged monthly funds. This revision doesn't fix all issues, but it's progress towards support. You're not overlooked, you're not unseen, and this evening's reveal shows your circumstances are being addressed earnestly. Stay aware, ready, and optimistic. Further details are incoming, and I'll cover them for you throughout. If this helped, ensure you're subscribed, as the next key revision could impact your disbursement schedule.